Thank you very much, President. First of all, Jean-Claude, what a difference with last year. I liked your speech, your State of the Union. I think it was full of vision, ambition for 2019, and quite a difference with last year. But let's be honest, between us, a lot has changed, in fact, in the meanwhile, in the Union last year. In August, for example, 2016, it was Mr. Hofer who said that he wanted to take Austria out of the euro and the Union. And 5 months later, after his defeat, he said exactly the opposite. He changed his mind and he said, no, we want to stay in the euro and in the Union. And then in March of this year in the Netherlands, it was Mr. Wilders who promised a spring of populism, and what he created, he reaped the opposite. It were the pro-European parties who won the election. And in France, exactly the same. It was Emmanuel Macron who won the campaign with a pro-European program. And since then, even the Front National doesn't want to exit the euro and the Union anymore. And even in Hungary, Viktor Orban is piping down. He accepts now the authority of the European Court of Justice, and he said, I think 2 days ago on a radio interview, that no way that ever Hungary would leave the Union. So I want to say, in fact, at the occasion of this State of the Union, Jean-Claude, to Mr. Hofer, to Mrs. Le Pen, to Viktor Orban, welcome to the side of reason. Even when we know, all of us, that is not that they have changed their mind, it's not by conviction that they have changed their mind, but by fear of losing votes that they have changed their mind now. And the only way, or the only one for the moment, who still doesn't get it, I think, is Mr. Farage. He is still going on. He said last weekend he called the German EFD to campaign on Brexit. I think it's a fantastic advice to campaign on Brexit. You have to keep up the good work, Nigel. I hope they take it, but unfortunately I don't think that they are so stupid to do that in Germany with the EFD. And because, let's be honest, it's clear what our citizens want. They don't want to destroy Europe. They want to reform Europe. But to destroy it, no bloody way. That is the message of our citizens. And colleagues, and that is what I like so much in the State of the Union this year, by Jean-Claude Juncker, let's not make the mistake to think, okay, yeah, the war is over. We have won a few elections in a number of countries, and now the wind is blowing in the right direction. No, what the people want is not to continue with this Europe. They want the reformed European Union. 73% of our citizens want more European action on the side of migration. 75% want more European action against climate change. The same number want a European army. And at the same time, even more Europeans want European capacities and capabilities in the fight against terrorism. So it is true, Jean-Claude, that the last 3 years were not easy. It was mainly crisis management, but I completely agree with you that it is now the moment, now or never, I should say, like in the song, to build up that European Union that the people are asking for and that we together are already dreaming of for a number of years. And what does it mean? It means that we create a European asylum system so that we can finally get rid of this broken Dublin system, because there is the real origin of the problem. Dublin is not European. That's national egoism. That is Dublin. In fact, not Dublin as a city, naturally. So don't misunderstand me, because I'm going to have my Irish friends against me if I continue like that. A European border and coast guard and a system of legal, indeed, Gianni, migration, so that people no longer die on our shore, because every dead body that we find in the Mediterranean is a scandal for us, for Europe. Even one death in the Mediterranean. A European defence union, so that it are not the Americans and the Russians who are in fact deciding, Mrs. Mogherini, in our backyard, what is still the case today. A European FBI. Why? Because terrorists don't know borders. That's the reality, so why we continue to do so, and then also a real government for the Eurozone, so that we can steer the European economy and that we can create what in fact we are missing, European champions. It are our competition's rules were too narrow. In fact, it is the fact that we have no unified markets with single regulators who make that we have no European champions that can become world champions and compete on the world level. But there is one thing on which I have a little difference of point of view with you, and that is on the institutional problem. I'm always thinking that good institutions produce good policies, and that bad institutions create, in fact, stillstand, stagnation and crisis. And there are a number of examples of that. And that's the reason why we in this Parliament, and I thank you for the support, really, because it's very helpful, that we want also to create transnationalist and a real European constituency. And why we want to do that? Because it's time to lift the democracy to a continental scale. Europe, dear colleagues, is more than the sum of 27 national democracies. We are more than that. We are, in fact, a democracy on a European scale, also to defend our values and our principles outside the Union, but also inside the Union. This European democracy is necessary, for example, to withstand alt-right governments like we see today, also inside, in Poland and in Hungary, who think, in fact, that Trump, with his white supremacy, is the example. Or Putin and Orban, who jail opponents, is the example. Well, that will never be the example in whatever member state in the European Union. And for that reason, we have to create this European democracy with a transnational, in fact, responsibility. Because we need, as Emmanuel Macron has said it, near to the Acropolis, because we need to be the counterweight of all these developments and autocratic leaders worldwide. A beacon of openness, a beacon of freedom, and a beacon of hope in the 21st century. Thank you, President, and thank you, Jean-Claude Juncker, for the State of the Union.